Today on the table, we have a Colt model 1892. Now, it actually could be a model 1892, 1894, 1895, 1896, 1901, or 1905. But it is in the variant of the Colt DA, and they made these in 38 and 41. Now, if you remember one of my videos from probably like a month and a half or so ago, I have one of these actually in a more rare 41 long Colt caliber. This is in a 38 Colt, as you can see, or just a 38 long Colt, as you can see here. Now, this one was able to find this at my local gun store. It's been there for a really long time. There's a older collector. He was going through selling some stuff, and my local gun store is not really a store where a lot of pistols or revolvers like this sell very well. So I had looked at it quite a few times. I wanted it because I wanted this is the old version of the release, and I wanted one of those because then it turned into like that more like I guess I should grab another pistol or revolver to show you, but it had like more of a ball here, so it's a little different open for the cylinder. But I wanted this one because it's the oldest style that they have, and it had the older style grips on it as well. And, I'd been looking at it for many, many months, and it just sat there. Nobody was really interested in it. And I put in an offer because it was on consignment for the fellow that was selling it. And then this weekend, I went over there and I decided to pick it up. Now, this one is actually from 1906 based on the serial number. Serial number is really faint on the bottom, but this one, based on the Colt serial lookup, is from 1906. Now, they made these from 1892 to 1907. So this is right around the tail end of when they stopped making them. But I mean, this still makes this 118 years old, which is super cool that this is that old. I mean, that's crazy that this was made 118 years ago. Or I'm sorry, 119 years ago, actually, because this is from 1906. Now, they made these. The cylinder on these actually is a counterclockwise cylinder. So I think we went over that video once before. So you can see here it is a 6-shot 38. Obviously, it's not loaded as we do our little safety check. So this was the first issued double action revolver with a swing out cylinder used by the U.S. military, which is actually pretty cool. And with these old Colts like this, though, like I was saying, so when they developed and made this revolver, these are counterclockwise. So here, if you want to see when I, engage it, you can see it rotates counterclockwise. Now, that's fine and dandy and all, but the issue is that, it was great for loading because obviously it opened up on the left side. But with the counterclockwise, there were some issues with it because of the mechanism on the inside, because again, it was a new revolver at the time, and it would have a tendency kind of throw itself out of alignment with the frame over time. And that was just due to a weak lockwork system that they used again at the time. Now, what happened is that if you, again, another point in one of my older videos, is that what happened with Colt is, like, I think around 1909, 1910, they actually changed their cylinder to revolve or to turn clockwise. And then they made a huge campaign back in those early 1900s to say, hey, because Smith & Wesson still does today, rotates counterclockwise, but they made a huge campaign to get more people to buy their revolvers, saying, the clockwise is the right way. They had a whole bunch of cool literature, and I should try to find something to see if I can find a cool ad. But basically, they were just comparing it to time, meaning that, their cylinder turns right, and the right way, which is the way time turns. So that's kind of a cool feature. So if you find these older Colts like this, their cylinders turn counterclockwise, and the newer ones, or the ones basically from like 1909, 1910, those all start rotating clockwise, which is kind of a cool thing to have. Now, this one's in actually really nice condition. It doesn't have any rust or anything like that. Obviously, there's a bit of bluing loss. You can see here it's, it's pretty spotted, as you can tell here. It does have the Colt information up here, just says Colt, PTFA, and then the patent dates on it. The Colt logo right here is still pretty faint. I don't know if you can see that there. Yeah, right there. You can see the little logo right here. And I was looking at some of the older ones based on these rivets and screws. You can see here. So I'll just show this here slowly. So when you're looking at other revolvers online, you can actually match it up to see. You know, I was looking at a few on Gunbroker and a few on Guns International just to see some of the different ones. But it does have just a standard V-notch half moon, as you can see, sights on it. It's got its original trigger on it, which is pretty cool, and hammer and the trigger on it, and then these older style grips on it. Now, if it was a Navy marked one or an Army marked one, there'd be a lot more writing here, and there's even like a star or a crest that they would have here, and then possibly right here, which this one does not, but right here on the latch release, there would be a mark here, and that would entail that if that was a Navy one. But either way, it's super cool. I was super happy to find it. They made these in, like I said, 1892. There's only about 8,000 of those made at the time. All the ones made from 1892 to 1907, they only made 291,000 of them. But then based on the different variants, the 1892s, they only made 8,000 of those. And most of them are basically purchased by the U.S. Army. And again, would have distinguished characteristics or markings here on their butts. And then in the 1894, those were a new Army model again as well. And they started making those in 1895. They had a different interlock between the cylinder latch and trigger that helped the gun, stop firing from when the cylinder was fully closed. It had to be obviously fully closed for that to happen. But most of the 1892s actually were converted to the 1894 mechanism, which is obviously probably a safety feature. It might be kind of fun to see if there is some out there that weren't. Then there's that 1895, which is the Navy version. 1896s, all they did was make some modifications of the lockwork system on that. And then the 1901s, they had a lanyard ring here on the bottom of them as well. And then the 1903s, they had a narrower grip, and their bore diameter was reduced just a tiny, literally like a tenth of a millimeter, hardly at all. But I guess apparently that improved accuracy. And then in 1905 was a Marine one, so more of a Navy one. But that's the gist of these double action, single actions that were made, or these double action revolvers that were made from 1892 to 1907. So let me know if you have one. I'd love to hear some more information on it. If you have one, will I shoot this one? Maybe, probably not, but it is super, super cool. You can see here. I mean, it's got the cylinder's not too bad. The ring on the cylinder's not too bad, and it actually locks up really tight still, comparatively to, how loose some of the really old ones could be. So anyways, let me know in the comments if you have one. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.